First, though, we're going to take more of your views on BNP leader Nick Griffin's appearance on Question Time last night. A lot of issues already coming out from you guys at home. I still want to know if you feel it was a victory for free speech. A lot of you seem to feel that he was bullied. Somebody said he was like a Joan of Arc figure at the stake. So maybe it was handled badly by the panellists. Is that why we've got that kind of feeling coming through? I'd like to know why so many people watched the show. 7.9 million, almost 3 times the number that watched the highest ever rated version of Question Time before that, which was MP's Expenses. And I know, Tracy-Ann, because we've talked about it non-stop through the break, you've got some views on the audience, which I think are quite interesting.
I think given the fact that he's there in the first place, and I think he was there as a protest vote, I don't think people necessarily in this country believe in his policies, but I don't know whether the audience was representative enough of the type of people that voted for him, and I think that some people who were maybe pro him or on the borderline would look at the audience and think that they don't speak for me, they don't represent me. I would have liked to have seen more of the sort of people, if they'd have been brave enough, to have brought some of those people in who voted for him going, don't know whether I agree with his policies, but I felt angry enough and I voted for him as a protest.
Did we learn much about BNP policy from watching the programme? I'm not sure I did.
Well, you learn that they are totally inconsistent, and their policies will change by day, by week, and that's no way to run a political party, because you need to have some consistency.
You learn that he was racist, homophobic, anti-Semitic.
But we kind of knew that before he was
Yes,
on.
that's...
And isn't that why so many people tuned in to see it? Because it's a car crash.
Well, I don't know. I'm fascinated. Yes, it must be.
It is.
It must be.
You're not. People aren't. There isn't that many people who tune in to say, "Oh, what he's got to say," because I think I might vote for it. It's people. Let's have a listen, because people like complaining about things and they're like thinking, tomorrow I'm going to have something to say about that, about his outmoded and outlandish views. So I think that's what people were looking for.
Well, that's
scandal.
Let's throw that one out as well. Is that why you tuned in? Were you looking for some kind of massive Barney, some kind of car crash TV?
Can I just on the point of that? I think that's the point. I think people were tuned in.
I love your passion, by the way,
hoping that Bonnie Greer was going to storm out, that maybe Jack Straw was going to punch him in the face, and it wasn't going to happen because clearly backscene in the green room it was all very civilised. So Dimbleby got in there right at the beginning just to sort of stir it up, and it felt like they were just hyping the whole thing up, going something's going to kick off here.
Okay.
Maybe I'm being
Jack Straw's the reason why he's there. It's Jack Straw's policy and Jack Straw's government that Nick Griffin has any oxygen at all.
OK, I want to jump in. I want to get more calls from people to chip in at any point, though, folks. You take them on as well as me. Kirsty, what do people say?
First, we've got Robin on line 1.
Robin, good morning.
Morning.
Can I start, first of all, just by asking you why you watched? What was it you were expecting? Do you normally watch Question Time?
I do watch Question Time fairly regularly.
Right, OK.
I think I was hoping that he would either say something and get himself arrested or storm off in a huff.
Right.
He was going to portray himself as a victim regardless. He thrives on that. I get the impression that if he goes out the street one day, he's a bit like that woman in Buenos Aires that went home in tears because no one wolf whistled her from a building site. If he didn't get abuse, he would feel neglected.
Maybe. Do you think it did him any good going on Question Time?
It would have done if he was really erudite and well-spoken. I think it says something for the BNP if that's the best they have in the way of a media spokesman.
Nicely put.
I don't blame the BBC for putting him on. I think that it's a victory for free speech if we show that he only has 2 tricks, and one of them is a mild replication of the first, and that he can't really think outside that.
No, I mean, I thought my personal low point came very, very early on when he went, and my dad fought in the RAF, but your dad, Jack, he didn't, because he was a conscientious objection. I thought, is that the best you can do? Still, my dad's better than your dad.
I mean, never mind Churchill.
I wish someone had asked him how much of next year's England football team he would have been happy for. England, I don't understand why no one did.
Well, we're back down to another BBC issue there, aren't we, which was the radio interview with the 2 members of the BNP who turned out to be relatively senior activists, and they said that, of course, that Ashley Cole didn't have any right to play because he wasn't ethnically British. Thank you, Robin. Let's have another.
Jill's on line 5.
Jill, good morning.
Hi, Matthew.
Can I ask you again, why did you watch? What were you hoping to see? What were you expecting to see?
Lots of things, actually. I thought possibly he might really show himself up, and it would be good to see how he really is and how he really thinks. I thought that the panel were going to expose this, and I also thought that, wrongly so, that some of the issues that seem to be troubling people, the type of people that went out and voted for this party, would be discussed, and just maybe things would be clearer to everyone. But it just didn't happen. I just thought it was contrived. I will not watch it again. I won't watch Question Time again, and I used to watch it every week. It just seemed... I forgot the reason why he was on in the end, because it just seemed like some child in a playground and everyone throwing stones at him. And although he may have deserved those stones, although he may have deserved to be slapped for what he'd done, it just became uncomfortable to watch it happening. And I completely missed all the questions. They just seemed to be aimed at the BNP. He just looked like a victim of his own making, but he just looked like a victim.
Do you think it did him any good? Do you think it did the BNP any good in terms of winning over voters, not in terms of them being driven out to a far and distant land?
I think possibly those that have voted for him will feel justified because they will feel victims themselves. Look, nobody understands us, sort of thing. But I don't think it did him any good in as much as the credibility of his policies. But I was expecting more from the panel, to be honest. I wanted more. I wanted it kept more on track from the panel, but I just felt that it was very contrived.
OK, Jill, I'm going to jump in there. I want to take a break. Before we do, I'm just going to give here a last word from each of the panellists. Dominic?
I think if you put him on with this sort of sensational, you know, gig, if you like, he's going to get this furor all the time. What you should do with the BNP is have them on all the time and allow them to be exposed. That's what you should do. Because if you make it a huge, big occasion, you're going to get this kind of reaction.
Yeah.
If he has to answer
But then if you have it on all the time, it normalises it, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't normalise it, because he can't answer the questions, Matthew. You can't repatriate people. You can't do that. It's ridiculous, and everyone knows. So if you normalise the questions to him, you undermine him, and then therefore his argument is invalid.
Okay. Totally disagree. I think if you have him on all the time, it normalises the situation. It brings up taboo subjects, perhaps, and normalises them. It's like the more time you say a bad word and you keep saying it, eventually you get used to it. But I think more to the point, he is a tiny, inconsequential leader of a tiny, inconsequential party. But the frightening thing is, from a character study, he had a vulnerability about him. You know, if you had had a very slick Le Pen character, the shaking hands, the sweating, the wonky eye, the sort of nerves, actually did show a certain vulnerability. And
And finally, Vic?
It's a scary day.
I think they should teach more British history in schools.
Oh, now there's a great idea.
People might have some idea about what, you know, and allowing buffoons with the pompous and inaccurate views, you know, but we're actually believing what, you know, some of the things he's got to say. More history.
I love that last point, and I love Jill, our last caller. I thought she spoke very clearly. Thank you very much for all the calls. We're going to move on now for our last talking point of the day.